Hi, it's me, Brooks. Welcome to Heal This. It has been a little while. I have been very busy with life. Life has been lifing, and there have been some very high highs and some very low lows since we've spoken to each other. Oh boy. Anyway, so I thought I would just turn this on and just start talking and sharing some stories and giving you some Brooks insights on some things that have come forward. And one of them being that um, a couple of years ago in 2021, I started to really refine my manifesting skills. Part of that was me figuring out who I really am. Who am I? Answering that question and trying to answer it on all different levels. So, who am I as a spiritual being? Who am I as a physical being? And where am I at about my emotions? Where are my emotions about at? Am I in control of my emotions, or are my emotions in control of me? And also, what are my thoughts? What's racing through my head constantly? And this caused me to really wake up, really start paying attention. And honestly, I started looking at it as a science project. And so here I am, Brooks, this science project. Who am I? And I started figuring out that who we really are is something that I like to title as our true authentic self. Who we are to our core, who we are as an essence. It's not the titles that we put on ourselves. It's not the certifications or degrees or whatever. Like, yeah, I'm a mom, I'm a daughter, I'm a friend. I have a degree in psychology, and I'm a life coach, and I'm a massage therapist, and I'm an energy medicine practitioner. I am very intuitive, empath. Um, I also am, you know, a medium and psychic, and I have all these different gifts and skills, but I'm also really good at a lot of other things. But is that who I am? And that's not who I am. Like, my job is not who I am. I love my children and I love my family, but that's not who I am. Who I am is to my core. And so I started really writing that down. I called it my mantra. I started spending a lot of time around that. I had it in a physical form that I would write down pen to paper, and also in my phone on my notes. And anytime someone would say something to me that really resonated with me, I included that in who I am, because parts of who we are is who we are to other people, but we don't always like to acknowledge that part about ourselves because it's really hard to see ourselves through the eyes that other people see us. So I really started perfecting that. And then I really started working on my manifest. I wanted to create the life that I always wanted. And I was given a chance to kind of start over and decide what that looked like. And most importantly, what it felt like. And I wanted to create a home with love and joy and support and security, and feeling very appreciated and very seen. And I wanted to create this life that we were all feeling the same way about each other, in the sense that I could see you, I see who you are. I definitely understand on a more spiritual level when someone comes into my life. I can see who they are and where they're at. And I wanted that kind of environment for my children. I wanted them to know that I see you and I think you're amazing and worth so much, like that, like endless amounts of love and joy and appreciation. And so just trying to create that in my life, in myself first. And I started to notice that I was the point of origin of everything I was calling into my life. And understanding more and more through listening to podcasts or lectures and reading books that contained the information that I was so desperately looking for, and not putting it in a box that said that this is a religion or this is a belief system, but more about opening up my mind and my heart, my soul, to what could be. What is out there that I'm missing? How can I open myself up to learning more about things maybe I'm just not paying attention to? Or how could I be a better person? What does that mean? How do I do that? And so my practice became something that I was doing every single day. And some days I would fall off, of course, like I would maybe not do it in the evening, but I did it in the morning. And it slowly started to come together as a tapestry does. It's like maybe it doesn't really look like anything at first, but slowly every single day, that time accumulated to being a picture that I could see. It was something that in my intent I knew was there. And if I really listened as I tried to meditate and walk in nature and connect to source, I realized that source energy, God, is so much bigger than I even can comprehend. We read that source is endless. There is no beginning and no end. And so I started to really sit with that, and I started to really think about my potential. If I am created from source energy, which I absolutely believe that I am, and that you are too, I started to reduce it down because I do that a lot so that I can understand what's going on. I have children. They lived in my body before they came into this earth. And I loved them the moment I knew that they were living in my body. So I don't even know who they are, what they look like, or I don't really understand who this is as a being. I don't see them yet, but I understand their potential, and I understand that there is a potential for them to be great because I have so much love for them, and I know that I am created from source energy and they are created from source energy. And so I just have so much hope for them and this desire to provide an opportunity as a space of a home and love as a mother to give them a place to blossom and develop and to excel and thrive into this amazing human. And so I just started to think about all of those things, and I started to talk about, having children. And so I think we are created from source energy, and I know source energy loves us, but not the type of love that we can even understand because we put limitations on that as humans. And so just trying to be open to being open is a lot of the time at the very beginning of my exploration and practice of development. I would just say, I'm open to being open. What does this look like? What could it look like if I had the desire and the intention to come from a place of love? What could I create with that? And I would write down goals, but I didn't write them down as, oh, I would really like this for this to happen in my life. I wrote it down as if it already happened. And a lot of times it would include things like having this amazing job that I love, and just the job is me being myself. And offering help and a space for people to heal and to become more of themselves, to be themselves on a level they've never experienced before, with the idea that maybe they could be more than they've ever actually thought could be could happen. So definitely had a place for my job. I knew that if I could provide for myself and create the life that I wanted for myself and take care of my family, that I would have a lot more to bring to the table and offer someone else. And as time went on and I started to understand that everything is energy, which means everything is made up of atoms and cells and molecules. And in that, and because of that, they are measured by vibration, and vibration is measured by frequency. And so understanding that the first law is that, everything is energy and energy is in constant motion. That is the definition of energy, is that it is going, it is moving, there's movement there. And so we measure that by a frequency, and understanding that the second law, of course, is the law of attraction. So like attracts like. And if you are in the vibrational frequency of abundance, then you are going to continue to attract more abundance. If you are in the vibrational frequency of lack, then you are going to continue to attract lack, or not having abundance, the lack of. And a lot of times when this is happening, we will hear individuals say things like, why does this keep happening to me? I don't understand why, I'm being punished. Life is so awful. Well, the thing is that you need to understand why it's happening. Show me how I can know, and how I can understand what I need to learn from this. It's happening because it's stuck in your vibrational frequency. And that is definitely something that I work on a lot on myself and with other individuals. And so, in order for us to see what is showing up in our vibrational frequency and our field, and trapped in our physical body, and also in our biofield, life is happening. And so often we think, well, if, life would just stop for a little while, then maybe I could work on some things for myself and feel better about myself. But it doesn't work that way. The reason why it works this way is because everything that is happening in our lives is a mirror. It is a mirror showing us, reflecting back to us where we're at on a vibrational frequency. So a lot of times this gets really confusing for people, because people will say, oh, so you're saying I'm signing up for this? And I'll say, unconsciously, yes, you're signing up for it. I'm not saying that you chose any kind of trauma or pain or, any of those specifics. But before we came into this life, we signed up for trials. We signed up to be a specific person. And on the other side of the trials and the pain and the suffering is this person, this potential person, right? This potential of limitless energy. And we cannot access that without the trials in our lives. Now, we have no control over other people and the possibility of them inflicting pain on us, or we have no control over, specific things that happen that are already set on a trajectory that are going to show up into our lives. But we did, before we came here, not in this life, but before we came here, we signed up to have the limitless potential of the specific being that we are today. Okay. And in order to become the limitless potential of that being, we have to have trials in our lives. And so we didn't necessarily agree to have specific things happen to us. We just agreed that there would be trials and pain and suffering and trauma. And what we do with it, how we manage it, and how we treat ourselves and treat others is up to us. So, along with having the desire and the intention to have a great job and a way to provide, and not only that, but to just be more myself, and yay, I get to make money at doing it. I also had the strong desire and intention to find my soulmate. And in order to do that, I started again to really look at myself and think about, am I meeting the criteria that I'm really asking this other person, these expectations that I have of the person that I'm calling in, am I even meeting them? Am I meeting my own expectations? So that started to come up pretty often, actually, as I was venturing out into the world of trying to find my soulmate. And specific things would come up a lot. And the number one thing that came up was rejection. And I started to have to really look at myself and say, why is rejection in my biofield? Why am I constantly calling in being rejected? And the reason why that came in, of course, was me finding a specific place in my life. And it went back to a very specific time when I was very small. And I realized that I was having trapped emotions about being rejected. I was about 4 years old, and I just kept getting overlooked. And part of the reason why I understand now that I was being overlooked was because I was very quiet and not expressing myself, and I just got overlooked. I was very obedient too. And so I wasn't a troublemaker. And so I'm a big troublemaker now, though. Watch out. Um, but and I noticed that people who maybe were causing some problems or trouble, they were getting attention. And so I wasn't willing to do any of that stuff. So I was just quiet. So anyway, it went back to this time. So I did a lot of work around all of that. And it was when I was 4 and 5 and 6, there were some things that were happening. And so I really did a lot of work on that. And then when I finally did the work, it stopped showing up all the time. And part of that was releasing the trapped emotion of rejection, and also the other emotions that come with that. So, I started to really do a lot of inner work on myself, and I started showing up every single day. And what I mean by that is I did the work. Would I would write the affirmations, I would say the affirmations, and I would start to retrain my brain and what I really thought of myself. And that it took practice. Okay. And it just does. And that's the work. You can come in and see me, and we can go do some coaching together, and I can remove some trapped emotions, and we can do a really great clearing, and chakras will be all aligned. But the work is you doing the work for yourself and really showing up for yourself. And as you do that, you start to really love yourself, and you start to really trust yourself, and you start to really listen to the intuitive hits that you're getting that are available to every single person if you're willing to listen. And I think that the biggest messages I want to share with you today are wake up. Because number one, we are all running specific thoughts in our head that are not beneficial. We want to be in a place where our thoughts are benefiting us, our emotions are benefiting us, in the sense that we understand, okay, what am I feeling right now? What is coming in? How can I process this? How do I take time to process the emotions I'm feeling? And sometimes that means you're going to have to take some time to be down and to rest, and that's hard to do. I know. And we want to be in control of our emotions. We don't want our emotions to be in control of us and dictate our actions or our words or our thoughts. And so I want you to wake up and start paying attention to all of that, plus your intuition. Please pay attention to your intuition. It is a gift, it is a tool that we are given to be more connected to source and our potential, our highest potential. Because we are created from source energy, our potential is limitless. And so I want you to think about all of that, especially as we're moving into a new year and it's going to be 2025. Can you believe that? And so 2025 for me, I always try to pick a word. This year, my word was intentional. And so I tried to be really intentional about my time and if I was resting, I was resting. If I was supposed to be somewhere, I was trying to focus on getting everything organized and being there. And I'll tell you what, it's the end of the year and I need to remember that that's what I chose from the beginning of this year and to finish strong so that I can have more intentional actions about everything that I'm doing. So next year I'm working on the word for next year so that I can continue to have that goal and that intention through the whole year. So the second thing I really want you to think about is potential. Now, I've talked about this before. In everything, there are two sides to every coin, right? And if you understand that even within an atom, we have positive and a negative charge. A car battery does not go without having a positive and a negative charge. So we are the same. We have a positive and a negative side of ourselves. And a lot of times we don't want to look at the negative parts of us. But to be really honest, it's a lot less of what we're made up of is some of these darker parts of ourselves, the things we don't really like about ourselves. Maybe that includes parts of trauma and pain that we don't really want to talk about. But in that part of us, there are things that we can learn about ourselves that will definitely help us get over and get through the challenges that we have coming in front of us. We all have them. They're going to always be there. They're there to teach us something, and how we get through it is what we really signed up for, is that strong person on the other side that makes it through the stuff. So when I talk about potential, I want you to understand that there's two sides to potential. We have the limitless energy potential side, right? And then we have this other side of us that is just kind of stuck, the potential energy. Um, you know, the law of potential energy is, for instance, if I took a rubber band and I pulled it back, there's potential energy there. But if I hold it, there is no movement. There is no energy happening. It's just the potential energy. And so if we look at ourselves on that scale of understanding that we are that rubber band being pulled back, we have so much potential energy. It's limitless. And yet, a lot of times we kind of get stuck in that held position of being ready. I'm ready to go, but we're not going for it. We're not doing it. We're not doing the work. And I also want to apply this to the people that come into your life, or maybe you're seeking them out. Maybe you're with one of these people right now that has the very stuck potential energy. And the thing about that situation is that it's not our job to do the work for them to be out of potential energy and into limitless energy. So when you're basing your decision on a person and you keep coming back to the answer of, but I see so much potential in them, just remember that they could be in that potential energy spot for the rest of their lives. And it is not your job to do anything about that, to change that. We really need to remember that we want to meet people where they're at. That's where boundaries come in. We need to remember that if we are, for instance, if we're dating someone and they're a really good person, it would just be great if they did X, Y, and Z, or, maybe these are bigger things, right? Like, I'm not just saying like, doesn't pick up his socks or something like that. I'm just saying like, I see like they could have a better job, or, they could be exercising more or have a better diet or something like that. Of course, you can always show up your absolute best self, right? Exercising and practicing your limitless energy and showing them, see, look at what we can do. Now, if they never take a bite and they don't go ahead with all that, and you're in the spot where you're like, I just see so much potential, why don't you decide to rise up to that limitless potential? And they don't. Just remember that, again, that could be for a very long time. And you are basing your decisions and spending your time with someone who's not doing the work. And so that is where the boundaries need to come in. Time. How long am I going to do this for? Maybe you're going to limit your time with them, or the extent of your relationship. Um, I don't know. I see that a lot. I see a lot of people putting a lot of weight into, a lot of investment into a relationship with someone who is not doing the work and is basically in the category of potential energy, but not actually practicing the idea that they have limitless potential. So that is something else that I wanted to talk about, that with two sides of the same coin, potential means it could be so much, there's so much there, but the other side of it is that you're not accessing it. You're not practicing the idea that you could have so much more in your life. And again, I say, wake up, because the purpose of us being here is to not be miserable. We're not here to be miserable. We're not here to stay stuck and to not move forward. We're here to figure out how we can level up on a spiritual level, which will then manifest into a physical form. And not only will it manifest into a physical form, into our physical bodies, but into our physical lives. We will see changes, and we will see new developments that we had no idea could actually even be there, because on a spiritual level, you are more open and you are connecting to source and co-collaborating with source energy. And so the last thing that I was going to bring up was expectations. And I talked a little bit about expectations. And again, two sides to the same coin. Expectations are great when you think, I know what's expected of me, and I am going to wake up every morning expecting to have a great day. But also remember that there is a difference between expectations and intentions. And also, just know that when we have expectations of others, a lot of times those expectations are very difficult to meet. And so we walk around being disappointed. And so we cannot control the outcome. We can only control right now. If right now is all we have, if this moment is all we have, if this, couple of days and just trying to focus on right now and not having these expectations of others or the outcome, trying not to focus on the potential of it, but focusing only on right now, it can help us to feel better, honestly, because a lot of times when we are focusing on the potential of something or the expectations that I would like someone else to meet, there's a lot of fear in all of that, that it won't happen. And so we are again focusing on the lack and not the abundance. And so that's why it's really important to focus on what is right in front of us with the intention of calling in more abundance, more love, more gratitude, and being open to the idea of it looking completely different than what we have the expectations of it being. And a lot of times when we co-collaborate with Source and we are prayerful and we meditate and we are trusting God says, I got you. I hear your intentions. I hear your prayers. I know the desires of your heart. And guess what? I am not only going to meet your expectations, but I am going to bring forward so much more than you could even understand because I am limitless energy and I am going to provide you with not only what it is that you're asking for, but more. And so that's why we don't want to put conditions on our trust. You know, a lot of times people will say, they'll say things to me like, I'm giving it to God and I have faith in God only if it looks this way. I said, that's not trust. That is not trusting God. That's putting conditions and we are putting conditions on an unconditional being. So just understand that trust means, guess what? I'm going to show up every day. I'm going to come from a place of love. I'm going to let go of these ideas of potential and expectations because I am limited. I am a human being. So in order to get to that place that I am so excited to be, but can't even hardly fathom that it exists because again, I'm limited. But if I connect to source energy and I trust, that's the part we have a really hard time with, that trusting part. I trust that if I do my part, that it will come right to me. It will show up in my life. It will line up with me because I am lining up with it. And that is where the point of origin shows up again. If I am constantly at the vibrational frequency of abundance, the limitless potential energy of abundance, understanding that I don't even know what that looks like, but I'm open to it and I trust God unconditionally. Start practicing just thinking about those things and then letting them go with the idea that you're just going to continue to do the work every day. It will show up. It will show up for you. Because if we are constantly having expectations, then we are looking for, external validation. It becomes this emotional roller coaster and we have this people pleasing behavior. We're trying to meet other people's expectations and that is not who you really are. And then you have to bring yourself back, get back to who you are as your true authentic self. That takes time, that takes meditation, that takes journaling and being intentional about your thoughts and your emotions and doing your work. So not too long ago, I got married. It happened. And I cannot wait for the next several episodes of Brooks and Paul on Heal This so that we can share with you our version of the story, each having our own thoughts and inputs about it. But it was a beautiful day. It was a magical day. It was absolutely everything that I wanted. And I'm just like, it was just, I didn't want it to end. It was just beautiful, gorgeous, and fabulous and magical and the best day ever. And it kind of, that feeling and that just, it really was just a magical feeling, kind of went on for a couple of days and a couple of days more. And then after that, I had these thoughts, accompanied by a vision, which happens for me a lot. But, you know, years ago now, I sat down and I said, this is what I want in my life. These are the desires of my heart. Here's my intention to call in this beautiful life filled with abundance and love and joy and a beautiful family. And we have a beautiful family, but it has extended out to our friends and their families. And I love my job. It's not my job, it's my life. I love what I do, and I love helping people, and I love sharing that with you. And so the vision I had is kind of cartoon like, these mountains that are like this. They're really high mountains and really low lows. And here I stood at the top of this mountain. I mean, I really was. It was glorious and magnificent, brilliant, standing at the top of this mountain. And I'll tell you what, it took me a lot to get there. I climbed out of a hole, basically, to then climb the mountain, to exert so much energy to get to the top of this beautiful, not just achievement or accomplishment, but manifestation, right? It came to me. It came lined right up with what I was desiring and intentional about. And here it is. And as I was on the top of the mountain, I had the thought of, I have everything I've ever wanted in my life, and how fulfilling it is. And then I kind of turned and I looked and I saw all the other mountaintops that I want to climb. I'm not done yet. And it was this feeling of, wow, there's so much more. I had no idea. And also, oh my gosh, it's going to be so much work. Because I know what it took to get to this spot. And so just kind of taking in all of those emotions and processing them, the letdown of after a really high, how it feels to come back down, back to normal for a moment, with the idea that there are going to be low lows in our lives, and we all have them. We can't avoid them. And what does that mean? What are they there to teach us? And then the next thought was, how do I prepare for what's next? What do I do so that when I'm in the low lows, I just don't spiral out of control, that I can hold on to something that I know is true and real and can help me float. And I know that's love. I know that that's source energy, God, and that there's a purpose, and that I have a purpose. And it doesn't look the same way that it did. And it's forever changing. It's forever evolving. And that's okay. And I also wanted to share that, when we're on top of the mountain, we can see all the other highs that we have and all the other things that we want to achieve and the other mountaintops we want to climb. But when we're down in the low part, we can't see anything. It's so far above our heads. And so it's important to not be down in those low lows for very long. They're going to happen. They're going to be there. Reach out, get help. You know, that's why we congregate together as friends and as groups and circles and communities, is to help each other. And we don't help each other just in the good times, right? So, and that's why I'm always so grateful, and I always say it to Tammy and Paul and my other family members. I'm grateful when we don't go through a really hard time all at the same time, because I need you. I need you to pull me up. And I thought of the story about, not too long ago, I went and did a Tough Mudder race where we basically are crawling in the mud and running and then going and doing different drills or other, I don't even know what they're called, but specific things we had to do along the trail. And I did it with a girlfriend of mine, and she and I both were kind of like, we're going to do what we can, but if we don't do everything, that's okay. And we're going to run, but we're not going to try to sprint the whole time. We're just trying to have a good time. And we started off really strong and we did really well. And then we got to this one spot where we were in, it went really deep, like these deep mud pits, and the mud was up above my chest, like almost to my shoulders. And then we had to crawl out of it and crawl up something as equally as high as it was deep into the mud. And she and I got in there and we thought, what the heck are we doing? How are we even going to get out of here? And then, so kindly, someone up on the top that we did not even know reached back down and grabbed me, and then the person in the pit, helped push me, and we got up over that hill. And then I turned back around and grabbed my friend, and the same thing happened. And then we even stayed a couple of times and helped other people that we didn't know, because they stayed and helped us. And I thought about that, and I thought, how many times in life are we down in that mud pit with the mud up over our shoulders with a hill to climb? And I just want you to know that there are people who want to help you up. They want to bring you up. They want to lift you up. And all of that works in our favor and is so much more beneficial if we are connected to source energy, and with the idea that we're coming from a place of love. And I just want you to know that I have a lot of mountaintops I'm going to climb. And I am looking towards the limitless potential energy that's there, not the potential energy that's stuck. And the expectation I have of myself is to just try to do more and be better every day. Just a little bit more. Not an unrealistic expectation, but to have the expectation based in love, and that I'm looking towards source energy and understanding that it's limitless and that there's so much more out there that I really don't even know or understand. And so hopefully this has been helpful in some way, because it keeps coming to me, and just understanding that we got to climb the mountain together. Right. And in order to do that, in order to continue to level up, we have to heal this. We have to heal what is going on in our world, in our nation, in our communities, in our homes. We need to be kinder to each other. We need to listen. We need to really see each other as being humans and not dividing each other by things that make us unique, really. Um, I just want to help anyone that I can along the way. So heal this, and I hope I see you soon.